Okay, the attention of football followers around the world was on the FIFA Club World Cup at the weekend, and it was Paris Saint-Germain, European champions, up against Chelsea, the team from England. And at the end of it all, it turned out to be one where, if you were 10 fans, watching the game, 8 would think that Paris Saint-Germain will beat Chelsea, going by the way they qualified for the final. But it turned out the other way around. 3 unreplied goals scored in the first half, maintained in the second, ensured that Cole Palmer and his friends from Chelsea were the winners of the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup edition, which has been expanded to 32 teams.
It was a quite impressive display from Chelsea and Enzo Maresca. Not too many people saw this one coming. They actually upsetted the odds, to do the unthinkable, because you take a look at the form of Paris Saint-Germain, just like you stated earlier, they are so feared that any team that comes up against them knows very well that they are going to suffer throughout the course of the 90 minutes plus extra time duration. But then it didn't work out that way. Chelsea, they have this champions mentality that when they hit to the final, you can write them off for whatever they care, but then they also still go out there to play with gusto and confidence. You saw how they were able to knock the ball around, even against the thought of so many out there. In fact, it was more like a shocker to so many football followers in that yesterday's game, seeing them running up to 3-0 lead in the first half. People thought that Chelsea, they have a winning mentality, and they once more showed that again against a Paris Saint-Germain side that have been free scoring. Throughout the course of this tournament, they've scored about 14 to 15 goals, considered just one, building up to that very final. But then they came up against a team that is well tutored, a team that was determined to make the difference, a team that was that coherent and very compact, quick in attack and in defensive frame setup as well. So it was a complete masterclass display from Chelsea Football Club, thereby stopping Paris Saint-Germain dominance so far this season. Not too many saw it coming. 3-0 against Paris Saint-Germain side. No, this is football for you, and this is why we keep saying that football is unscripted. You can't actually write off any team at all, especially when it has to do with the final. So very big congratulations to Chelsea, for creating a record. The only team in the whole of the world to have won all the international trophies. It doesn't come easy.
Well, let's hope that this fixture saw the president of the United States of America, at the stand, and of course he did hand over the trophy to Chelsea.
Definitely, Donald Trump, despite his busy schedule, he had promised earlier he was going to attend that very one, just like the tradition of the senior World Cup itself. Whenever it's been hosted in the final, you definitely see the president or prime minister or whatever of such country that is hosting that final to be in attendance. So I think for him, being there yesterday was another glorious moment for football followers, especially for Chelsea fans and their players as well, who also shook hand with, of course, the powerful man, one of the powerful man in the world, talking about the president, Donald Trump. So for me, I think it was a nice one to see Trump in the stand as well.
Talking about highlights of that fixture, what was Luis Enrique, the coach of Paris Saint-Germain, doing with Joao Pedro, the Chelsea attacker that scored the third goal?
I think for me, more like a frustration taken too far as he went to vent his anger. We are still monitoring proceeding to see what might have led to his action, because there must be some sort of words exchanged between two of them before he could move in such a unsportsmanship manner to, of course, slap Joao Pedro, who scored one of the goals. So maybe in the days to come we are going to see the reason or why he had to make that move, which for me I think is very, very unprofessional. Despite whatever the player may have said to you, I think it doesn't call for you as a coach to come slapping your opponent player. It doesn't show professionalism. It was just more like a very bad loser per se.
MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, United States of America, that hosted that final fixture last night, will be the venue for the same final of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Stand filled to the brim.
Yeah, I think most of the complaint in this year's edition of the Club World Cup is about the weather, the unfriendly weather. But then, despite the weather yesterday, you saw them going for cooling break twice, which has been, consistent with this year's edition because of the heat and all of that. But then, that did not stop fans from turning out in their numbers to, feel the stadium.
It's summer. It's just that most of the teams are complaining because they came from Europe. I'm not sure the African teams will have any complaint about the weather condition during this tournament.
Yeah, I think Europe basically...
they had 12 teams. Yeah. 12 teams coming from Europe to be part of this edition of the FIFA Club World Cup that was expanded to 32 teams. And now let's look at reward for their effort last night. Chelsea took home more than 40 million for winning the trophy. But if you add their total earnings from the first day to yesterday, they were almost close to 80-something million US dollars.
I think it was a very great financial business that Chelsea did there. They bought a couple of players so far this season, the likes of Joao Pedro, Gittins.
Joao Pedro just joined them from Brighton only for this tournament.
Yeah.
And he's emerged as one of the star players. Talking about star players, maybe you look at that in conjunction with Cole Palmer, who have done an excellent job coming up, or they're stepping up when they mattered most.
Yeah, I think for Chelsea, talking about the business angle of it, it was a profit for them, racking up about 125 million euros in this very competition, or 425 million pounds rather. I think it's a good one for them. It will also help them balance the book. Don't forget, they are also selling some of their players. We hear Madueke is leaving for 52 million pounds. They've sold Petrovic to 25 million pounds to Brighton. If you rack up, put all this money together, I think Chelsea is making a huge profit so far. Then you talk about the outstanding players that you want to, say, okay, these are players that actually distinguish themselves. You can't take away, the likes of Cole Palmer. He won the player of the tournament, and with his impressive display in the final. Then again, Joao Pedro, we talked about that joined from Brighton just few days ago. 2 outings, 3 goals he has scored, one of the outstanding players. Then you talk about Sanchez, who surprised so many yesterday because he's prone to error, but yesterday we see him making some couple of saves, 8 good saves to keep Chelsea in the game. He won the goalkeeper of the tournament, winning the Golden Glove. I think these are the players that did pretty well. Then Paris Saint-Germain also producing the best young player, talking about Dizadoué. But section of that, Chelsea players actually, dominated the whole thing. For me, I think it was a very great tournament for them.
Very great tournament for Chelsea, both finance and wise, and of course, looking at the emergence of players that have come out through the tournament. Let's look at Maresca. A lot of people complain about Maresca before this tournament. But Maresca, with that excellent move of moving James to the midfield from a defensive position to choke Paris Saint-Germain's ball distributors. You wouldn't see any pass coming, technical pass coming from that midfield of Paris Saint-Germain last night. So it shows that Maresca can be a top-class coach. He's now a Club World Cup coach.
You can't take it away from him. A man that learned under the tutelage of Pep Joseph Salah Guardiola. You expect him to do, to know how to switch things when it matters most. So for me, I think it was a masterclass, tactical, display yesterday from Enzo Maresca. Some complaint, just like you said earlier, about his, sense of, gambling most time. But then yesterday, I think he was able to put up a very tactical, formation that actually neutralized the rampaging Paris Saint-Germain and made them very important yesterday. Most of the attack and their key men, were pocketed. The likes of Ousmane Dembele, the likes of George Mendes, the likes of Achraf Hakimi. These are very dangerous players. But then, with a tactical formation used by Enzo Maresca, he was able to, neutralize the Paris Saint-Germain team yesterday, making them very important, ineffective on the pitch of play. So I think for me, good one for Enzo Maresca. It's his first season He's won the Conference League. He's won the Club World Cup. But then again, qualifying Chelsea for the UEFA Champions League final, I think it's a very, very impressive season for Enzo Maresca.